In this video, I'm just going to take a second and answer these questions. So the first one is, what happens if there's no constructor written? And the answer to that is that if no constructor is written, Java creates a default constructor, which you won't see. This default constructor sets integers and doubles to 0, booleans to false, characters to space, and all reference variables, including strings and objects, to null. Okay. The other important thing to take away from this is if even one constructor is written, then there is no default constructor. So you might write a constructor that takes one or two parameters, but know that then the default constructor that takes no parameters won't exist. Next question. What happens if there's one constructor written which takes two parameters and the user tries to construct an object with no parameters? And that's kind of what we just talked about a second ago, is that if any constructor is written, the default constructor does not exist. So in this case, the program would crash or produce errors. Is a constructor a method? What is the difference between a constructor header and a method header? So, yes, a constructor is a method, but it is a special type of method. This special method always has, let's do this, this special method has to follow the following rules. 1, it has to be just below your fields. You have to put constructors directly below the fields. The header has no return type. And finally, the name of the constructor must match the name of the class. Okay. Next, what do the modifiers public and private do? What is the term used to describe a class where all the fields are set to private? So, public and private modifiers help set restrictions on who can access the fields. Okay. Setting the fields to private means we are encapsulating, and this is an important word to know, the class. Encapsulating the class means that you can only modify those fields inside that class. So if I have another file with a main method, I can't change anything unless I write a method to do that. And we'll see how to do that in a minute. What values are assigned to the circle object if the following line is implemented? In this case, the circle object C1 is assigned the values default values stated above. Okay? But pardon me. Let me go back. In this case, there is no values to be assigned, because all we have done is save a space to store the reference to where the circle fields for C1 will be stored. Okay? So the important thing is here is you have to call a constructor. If we think of this as a picture, what's happening, let's see if I can draw in here. What's happening here is we're getting C1 and it's not pointing to anywhere, so we think of it as just being no right now. Okay? Let's go back to this. Last question. Is there any difference between how we implement the main method under the testing section? And the response to this is that yes, there is a difference. In particular, it has to do with being able to access the fields. Okay? I would say it's a safe bet right now to keep your main method in a separate file, because eventually we're going to have 5 or 6 classes that we're dealing with all at the same time. Okay? Hope that helped. Good luck.